Planet Dolan.
From swallowed razors to setting your co-star on fire, we look at 8 magic tricks that went horribly wrong. Number 8. Razor burn. You know, amateurs should really leave magic to the professionals, even if they occasionally off themselves too. One such amateur, named Dr. Vivian Hensley, was performing a trick of his very own for his son. The trick made it look as though he had swallowed a razor blade, but he had actually dropped it down his sleeve. But one fatal day, he done fucked up and dropped it into his mouth, and somehow, he swallowed it. He was rushed to the hospital and was immediately operated on. But guys, intestines are long as shit, and so the doctors couldn't find it. And 4 days later, he was dead. You gotta feel for this kid though. I mean, maybe he had hoped that all this hubbub was part of the act too. Like he was thinking, oh man, Dad has me good. He has me thinking he really swallowed a razor blade and he actually died. Now he's doing the old buried alive act. Man, my dad is awesome. Well, nope. Number 7. Rollin' in the Deep. In 1990, Joseph Burris tried to do a homage to Houdini on the anniversary of his death. He would attempt to recreate the trick that very nearly cost Houdini his life. He would be buried alive. Where Houdini was buried in a casket under 6 feet of dirt, Burris tried to one-up his hero by opting for a mixture of dirt and cement. He chose a glass coffin so that the audience could see the genius of his detail, but the coffin was crushed under the weight of 9 tons of dirt and cement. So pretty much what ended up happening is the audience got a close-up of a squished magician instead of the ingeniousness he had planned for. Crews attempted to reach Burris in time, but unfortunately, they failed. The moral of the story is this, guys. You always need to shop around for your coffin, especially if you're gonna pour some fucking cement onto it. Number 6. Milk can't. The magician known as Ganesta was also attempting one of Houdini's tricks when tragedy struck. In this trick, a giant big metal milk canister would be filled with water, and the magician was dunked in wearing a straitjacket. He would escape the jacket, and there would be a hatch that would automatically undo all the locks on the outside of the canister that were added for melodrama. What they didn't know, however, was that the hatch was damaged in transport, so Ganesta didn't have enough room to remove the straitjacket, let alone pop out of the container. The magician's assistants had given the keys to the locks to various audience members, and so by the time that they realized that something had gone terribly wrong, they had to start scrambling to get the keys back. It was utter mayhem, chaos, and despite the fact that the doctors were able to revive him at first, he died later that night. Number 5. Bullet Catch. Williams Ellsworth Robinson performed under the stage name of Chung Ling Soo, adopting the persona of a Chinese mystic, despite being white as fuck. Throughout his career, he spoke in a fake Chinese gibberish during all of his public appearances. He would perform the old bullet-catching routine. The magic was in the gun. An audience member would load a real bullet into the chamber, but there was a second barrel that held a blank. That is, until one day the accumulated gunpowder caused the real bullet and the blank to fire at the same time, landing a slug in his lung. But what I like about this guy is that he was doing yellowface before it was uncool. He's like the hipster of racism, and people were way more interested in his Asian mysticism than when he actually spoke in his real accent. It would be sort of like if Russell Brand had an American accent, and people finally realized that he was a rambling lunatic. Number 4. Bala Braga and the Flaming Moths. Bala Braga had a trick called the Flaming Moths that kind of went awry, which is a big shock because surely fire and magic always go well together, right? His assistants would dress up as moths, become engulfed in flames, and then disappear. Pretty nifty. He performed this trick successfully a number of times using bags of gasoline, but when he changed over to bags of acetylene for who knows why, well, shit went bad. One of the bags exploded, killing Bala Braga and one of his assistants, and injuring numerous others. Fire and magic do not mix. Neither do fire and fun in general. Unless you're roasting marshmallows. Or cooking something really good. Well, actually, fire is kind of fun. I'll have to get back to you. Number 3. Sword Swallower. Princess Tenko is a Japanese pop singer turned modern-day magician, completing impressive feats all around the world. But in 2007, one trick gone awry was very close to being her last. The trick entailed escaping from a box before 10 swords were plunged into her flesh. Unfortunately, she did not make it out in time, but because the swords weren't sharpened, instead of being impaled, she suffered some broken ribs and a punctured cheek. She was ridiculously lucky that she didn't lose an eye. Despite being in unbearable pain, Princess Tenko declared that the show must go on and continued her performance for another half hour before organizers made her stop. Maybe it was because she was bleeding all over the audience. Japanese are fucking hardcore, man. They take their work really serious. Number 2. Madame Linsky. In 1840, Madame Linsky was another illusionist that dared to tangle with the ballsy bullet catch trick. Unfortunately, however, she's also one of the ones that died in the process. In her routine, 6 soldiers would look as though they were loading real bullets into their pistols, and when they all shot at Madame Linsky, she would catch all the bullets. But of course, in actuality, the real bullets were tucked away, and the blanks were loaded in their place. One night, however, one of the soldiers done fucked up, and he loaded a real bullet and shot the illustrious illusionist right in the abdomen. This soldier was either running on automatic because of stage fright, or he was a complete sociopath. We're not quite sure. Not a lot is known about him, but it might have ignited his bloodlust. And, well, poor Madame Linsky died from the bullet in her belly 2 days later. Number 1. Houdini Haters. One of Houdini's most famous tricks led to the legend's demise. It was all a mixture of appendicitis, failure to prepare, and some guy being a big old douche. Houdini had this knack for withstanding any punch to his gut, no matter how hard. One night before a show, some colossal D-bag sucker punched him right when he was least expecting it. The trick only worked if Houdini tightened his core like a Russian gymnast. That, and even more unfortunate, his appendix was already on the way out. So Houdini feels like he's gonna die, but damn it, he's a professional. So he goes up on stage with a ruptured appendix, which I'm really impressed by because, guys, I won't even go to work if I have a cold sore or a really painful pimple. Well, 2 days later he died from appendicitis and inflammation of the tummy. So remember, my budding magicians, if you fail to prepare, be prepared to fail. So always use lube, preheat the oven, etc., etc. You get the idea. Speaking of creepy stuff, what is the creepiest thing you have ever seen? Let us know in the Reddit page linked below, and you might be featured in a future countdown. And that's it, everyone. See ya.
Iconic British Welsh comedian Tommy Cooper was performing on a live TV show called Live from Her Majesty's, where he suffered a fatal heart attack on stage. The audience, however, thought it was all part of the act and continued to laugh as he fell down on stage. Finally, a commercial break was called and Cooper was dragged backstage.